Good afternoon, everyone. We start off with some sad news. Director Chambers Smith of the Ohio Department of Rehabilitation and Corrections has notified me today coronavirus has taken the life of a correction officer employed by DRC since 2015. Gloria Boyer died this morning from COVID-19 complications. She began feeling sick just over a week ago. I'm told that she was one of the top correction officers at Franklin Medical Center. She was recognized as the center's Officer of the Month in May of last year. She was assigned to a non-medical unit. Our prayers are with her family, her father, her brother, and her sister. We're going to go now to Ohioans who are receiving the vaccine. We're continuing vaccinations this week. This past Monday, we really kicked off school employees who are so necessary to the operation of our schools and do such a great job, K through 12 students. These vaccinations include adults in buildings, school buildings across the state who interact with students. This is teachers, this is long-term substitutes, bus drivers, cafeteria workers, or environmental and building services, office personnel, coaches. And in addition, of course, this week, we continue to vaccinate based on age. This week, we are at 70 and up. Next week, Monday, we will go to 65 and up, and we will hold. We'll announce we're going to hold at that 65 and up for a number of weeks. We have about 2 million people in that category of 65 and up, and it will take us a while to go deep into that number. So if you can look at our dashboard every day, you'll see different age groups, how much they're being vaccinated. I was happy to see yesterday when I looked at the numbers that are 80-year-olds and over. We've now vaccinated over half of all the 80-year-olds in the state of Ohio. So got a ways to go, but moving on that, and the other numbers are creeping up as well, 70 and above. We're going to go to Reynoldsburg High School to start off with. The Livingston campus, we've contracted with Kroger to vaccinate their school employees over the coming days between this location and a clinic at Hilliard-Davidson High School. More than 15,000 educators and staff from about 150 Franklin County schools will be vaccinated. With us, we have Nisha Patel-Keeler, who is usually at the Little Clinic in Pickerington, but is administering vaccines at the clinic today. Dr. Keeler, how are you doing today? Everything going okay?
We're doing great. We're vaccinating lots of educators, and I'm excited to vaccinate where I grew up and actually currently still live in.
Well, that's great. You're back home then, huh? That's great.
I am. Thank you.
So we have with us today, I think, Dr. Fall. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Governor.
Doctor, what do you teach?
I teach English as a second language. I basically teaching English to speakers of other languages. Grade 5 through 8 at Hannah Ashton Middle School, the Reynoldsburg City Schools.
So you teach second language?
English? Yeah, English as a second language. Meaning English to students whose primary languages are other than English.
And how long have you been doing that?
I've been teaching for now 16 years.
Thank you very much for doing that. We appreciate it. That's great. You ready to get a shot?
Oh yeah, ready for it.
All right, let's do it. Let's do it, Dr. Keeler and Dr. Fall.
Yep, I'm ready.
All right. Dr. Fall says he's doing okay, right?
Oh yeah, I'm doing okay.
Well, we thank both of you very much. Good luck today.
Thank you.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Thank you very much. Next, we're going to go to Lima. Apollo Career Center in Lima. I'm certainly very familiar with the Apollo Career Center. I've been there a number of times. In fact, our Speaker Cupp's wife, Libby, is a retired teacher from Apollo. I think she taught there 24 years. So just a little little trivia information there. Joining us is Deb Roberts, Allen County Public Health Director of Nursing. How you doing?
Hello, Governor. How are you today?
How are things going?
We're really busy. Today we started at 6 a.m. this morning, meeting at the health department. We went and vaccinated school staff before they started school. We had another clinic for 80 and above, and now we're at Apollo today.
It sounds like you're moving today. Early bird today, huh? Early start. Well, that's great. Jody Benda, sports, fitness, and exercise science instructor at Apollo Career Center. Ms. Benda, thank you for joining us.
Thank
How long
you.
you been teaching?
Well, I've been teaching for about 12 years, and I'm in my 5th year here at Apollo Career Center.
Well, that's great. Well, we appreciate your good work. And it says here, sports, fitness, and exercise science. Is that the best way to describe what you do? Tell us a little bit about what you do.
Of course, sports exercise science here at Apollo, we teach not only exercise and wellness, but actually with this COVID and everything that's going on, we've been able to actually teach our students to be next ready in the workforce and how to enter the workforce using COVID protocols.
That's great. That's great. You ready to get a shot?
I am very ready. Thank you.
All right. We'll watch you.
All right, let's do this. Yay.
Excellent.
Doing okay?
Doing awesome. Thank you very much.
My wife and I got our shots a few days ago, and nothing except maybe a little sore arm first day or so. That was about it. So, well, thanks to both of you. We appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Take care.
We're now going to go to Medina, where vaccinations are underway for Ohioans aged 70 and up. With us, we have Medina County Public Health Commissioner Krista Wazowski. Commissioner, how you doing?
Just fine, Governor. Thank you.
Looks like a lot's going on behind you. Tell us what we're seeing back there.
We do. This is our second day of 70 plus vaccinations. When we're finished today, we'll have 960 individuals vaccinated, including Evelyn.
Well, that is great. Evelyn, thank you for joining us. How are you doing?
How are you doing?
Doing okay?
I'm doing fine.
All right. All right.
You
Happy
ready?
about getting your vaccination. We'll watch it happen.
All right.
We have the nurse Sharon Subilski doing it, and
All finished?
everybody okay?
Good.
Thank you both. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good day. We appreciate it very, very much. Well, we have some good news I want to share with everyone. And, we've talked a lot about the fact that we really do not have enough vaccine. We got a lot more people that want the vaccine every day than we have. It's been our hope that this will change. And, I had some good discussions this week. I talked with the team at Pfizer. They said that they will be able, they really gave us good news. They said they will be able to up the amount of vaccine that is available for federal shipment by about 40%, somewhere in the middle of February. So not too far off. We think that should mean that our numbers will increase. We hope by that much as well, maybe that week or the next week. So that's, very, very good news from Pfizer. They told us also that at least by the end of March, they thought from the level we're receiving it today, that it would double from now, and then it would double around the end of March at some point. So we're very happy about that. That's a very, very, very good news. They're currently, just to give you a frame of reference, shipping 73,000 doses to Ohio every single week. Let me also talk about Moderna. Moderna doses have increased from 73,200 2 weeks ago to 105,600 doses for next week. So that is, good news from both of them, and we hope that this is going to continue to get better as we move forward. So we're happy with that news. And I know there is frustration when people can't get vaccines. We've always felt that they will expand as we go forward. So that news from Moderna, from Pfizer, and the inference certainly from Moderna was it's going to continue to expand as well. So that's very, very good news. I want to talk a little bit about data collection, and this is really directed at our providers out there because it's important that we collect the right information. We really make a concerted effort to increase the information that we have about race. Race data is being underreported. As of yesterday, February 3rd, we were showing on our dashboard 13.2% of our vaccine records are listed as unknown race. Each provider is responsible for entering race into the state system, and it's really important. We look at a lot of different things, frankly, to see how well we're doing and see what we have to improve upon. Race is one indicator. We also look at by county. Every day I look at the counties and I see how the counties stack up as far as their population. And if a county is way down, we start looking at that and seeing what the problem is. So from a geographical point of view, racial point of view, from the point of view of poverty, we're looking at all these different things. And some of these, the poverty index, we can't really directly measure. We can do it indirectly. But all these things we're looking at because, what we're striving for is equity and fairness as this vaccine goes out. So we'll continue to do that. We just ask, the hospitals, we ask the health departments, we ask the pharmacies, anybody who's putting shots in arms, just to make sure that that data is filled out, because again, it helps us inform what we do and helps us learn from what is actually occurring. Eric, let's go to our regular data slides. We'll do this real quick. This is today's numbers, and we've been hovering around 4,000 cases. And as you can see, as this has gone on for a while, our 21-day average is now dipped below 5,000. So that's good. Still at a very high level, but moving in the right direction. Unfortunately, the deaths were higher today than the 21-day average. The same is true for hospitalizations, and the same is true for ICU. So kind of a mixed story there. Eric, let's look at the next slide. This is our normal chart. Again, this is what we ask people to look at if you want to see how much spread there is directly in your county. Eric, let's look at the next one. Again, this goes from the top. Brown County showing the highest rate, and Muskingum the second, and you can see the other ones as we go down the page. Again, just to give you a reference, that's 8 times higher. Our top county, most COVID spread last 14 days, that's 8 times what the CDC says is a high incident level. Let's go to the next slide, Eric. So this continues to be very good news. This is hospital count, basically. How many people are in our hospitals in Ohio? We take the count every single day, our hospitals do. How many people are there because of COVID? And you can see the numbers are dropping. And we're very, very happy, with that. We announced a week ago, that we were taking the curfew to 11. We said it would stay there for 2 weeks, and we would take a snapshot and look at it a week from today. So a week from today, we'll look at that, and we hope if this trend continues, remember we said that if it's under 2,500, then for 7 straight days, we would be able to take off the curfew. And so if we do this and it continues at that rate, we're now at 22:52. So if we continue that 7 days, we'll take a look at it next Thursday, and we may be able to take the curfew off. Now, we don't know what's coming. What goes down can come up. We hope it doesn't. But this virus has taught us that it just has a mind of its own, and we don't know what it's going to do next. But anyway, for today, certainly very, very good news. Let's go, Eric, to the alert map. This map is basically a continuation of last week. So the state is pretty much all red with the exception of the counties you see there in Southeast Ohio. So really no change there. Let me give everyone an update on where we stand on vaccinations here in Ohio, at least in regard to one aspect. Ohio is among the top 5 states for delivering COVID-19 vaccine doses to long-term care residents. And this is something that we have, from day one, we emphasize. We wanted to do whatever we could as quickly as we could to protect lives, knowing that we only had a limited amount of vaccine every single day. And so, as you know, we started, actually, the federal government gave us permission to start a couple days early, and we started in on nursing homes, and I gave the figures last 2 days ago, but we've completed the run through on the nursing homes with the first dose, second dose, and with our assisted care living, we're well into that as well. What we hoped would happen is happening. We're starting to see a significant drop in cases. So when we take these cases down in our nursing homes, obviously fewer people will be going to the hospitals and fewer people will be dying. So we're not where we want to yet. We've got more work to do because as new people come into nursing homes, we really want to get them vaccinated if they've not already been vaccinated. We want to get them vaccinated very quickly. So that's in process now, and we're going to continue to put vaccines into these nursing homes. And if we have staff that decide they want that vaccine, we will provide that vaccine to the staff. The same thing, of course, if there is a resident who decided not to take it before and has changed her mind or his mind, because over half the deaths have come out of nursing homes. So a work in progress, but I wanted to give you kind of the good news. And the good news is the cases are going down in our nursing homes as we've been able to vaccinate people. So exactly what we wanted to happen. Let me move now, talk a little bit about an opioid settlement that the Attorney General Dave Yost just announced, and that settlement was announced yesterday with McKinsey. And I want to go back a little bit. When I was Attorney General, Ohio was one of the first states to file lawsuits against the opioid manufacturers, and then we filed against distributors. Last year, the Attorney General and I worked with local mayors, local county commissioners, township trustees, village mayors, city mayors, to put a group together so that we could pool the money when it came in from the opioid settlements or cases and use it in the best interest for the people of the state of Ohio. That came together. We got a lot of meetings, we pulled together and pulled people together and came up with a plan. And I won't go through the whole plan today, but basically the plan was and remains that there's a foundation. The money goes into the foundation. The money then goes out into the local regions. And by and large, people at the local level, have a great deal of say in regard to designing how this money is going to be spent, whether it is on education in regard to addiction, whether it is in regard to treatment, whatever they think in their local community will make a difference. So we call this the One Ohio Plan. Focuses funding to programs that address prevention, treatment, long-term recovery, as well as criminal justice and public awareness, and promoting the overall health and well-being of all Ohioans. That's the goal. Equally important, the plan ensures these funds are preserved and that there's flexibility. As situations change, as the needs change, we want the local officials who are making these decisions to have the flexibility to combat this ever-evolving drug problem. McKinsey was not a part of the lawsuit that brought Ohio together under the One Ohio plan, but I'm really pleased that Attorney General Dave Yost has decided to leverage this recent settlement to start the work of One Ohio and get it kicked off and begin the development of a statewide foundation. So I'm very happy with that. Attorney General talked to me yesterday. I told him I was very enthusiastic about this and very glad that he was doing it. So this epidemic has left no part of our state untouched. Every community has had to address the unique needs of those suffering from substance use disorder. But as we've learned, by working together, we can be stronger. And that's what this One Ohio plan does. Let me go to the topic of unemployment and unemployment compensation. In previous press conferences, we've discussed delays in the payment of unemployment. Today, we have some good news. Ohioans are seeing the new federal money that they are due, beginning to see that now. And those who have not yet received it will. So far this week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we paid out nearly $100 million to more than 110,000 Ohioans. That's $100 million to more than 110,000 Ohioans receiving traditional unemployment. This represents some extended weeks of benefits plus an additional $300 a week, which were included with a new federal bill that was signed in December. Starting this Saturday, February 6th, more than 155,000 Ohioans will also start seeing benefits from this new federal aid package. This includes new people who recently lost a job as a result of the pandemic, as well as Ohioans who continue to be impacted due to the pandemic. By the last week in February, we believe everyone will have the ability to claim all the weeks and supplements available under the law and receive the benefits that they are owed. Today, I also have an update on our efforts that I talked to you about on several different occasions before, our latest efforts to improve Ohioans' experience with the unemployment system overall. Ohio Department of Jobs and Family Service Director Kim Henderson and her team have been working hard every day during this pandemic, but clearly they need more support and help. The director and I started talking about bringing in some private sector experts to form a high-level rapid response partnership with the state. And we have an announcement today about that. We asked Pat Teaberry, former United States Congressman, currently president and CEO of the Ohio Business Roundtable, to work with business leaders, members of the Business Roundtable, to identify the best talent in Ohio. People who have experience in large organizations, call centers, people who have experience in claims processing, and people who have experience in fraud detection. Ohio business leaders really stepped up. And I want to thank them publicly for their help. They've already begun the work. We put together a new Ohio Jobs and Family Services public-private partnership team, this team will report and is reporting to Director Henderson. This team will include highly skilled experts. Most of them are on loan. They're on loan from some of Ohio's top banking and insurance companies, and we want to thank these companies for loaning them. Fifth Third Bank, Nationwide, Western and Southern Financial Group, and Cova Insurance, and Key Bank. I want to thank all of them for loaning some of their top people. We thank these companies' leaders for generously donating their talent and time to help the state in this unique public-private partnership. These experts will provide recommendations and solutions to improve the call center, claims process, and fraud detection efforts in the state unemployment system. They'll examine short-term and long-term improvements. The team has around 16 people on the team now, but we expect that number will in fact grow. We have a laser focus on this, and we're going to stay on it, and we're very happy to have this team. Let me now go to Director Henderson. Director Henderson is now joining us to talk more about this new team and improvements for Ohioans. Director, thank you very much for joining us, and we're happy to make this announcement today. And I know you are happy about it. You've worked on it and getting the folks from the private sector involved. So thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Governor. Glad to be here. I'm excited and grateful for this assistance from the private sector. Since the start of the pandemic, more than 3.6 million claims have been filed. That is more than the number of claims filed during our peak recession years in 1991, 2002, and 2009 combined. I am proud of the entire ODJFS team, and there is much more work we need to do. We are committed to getting every eligible Ohioan the unemployment benefits they need. This new partnership will enable the Unemployment Office to improve in the most critical areas we are facing right now: answering every call, processing claims, and addressing fraud. We are already at work on this, and I'm looking forward to sharing our progress as time goes on.
Director, thank you very, very much. I'm going to go now to Switzerland, where the Lieutenant Governor is. It's actually Switzerland School District. And Lieutenant Governor is in the, actually in the biggest, I believe, still the biggest geographical sized district, school district in the state of Ohio, in Monroe County. Lieutenant Governor.
Thanks, Governor. Thank you, Governor. You got that right, exactly right. I know the last time I was here with you, I remember we couldn't get a cell phone signal after driving for about 45 minutes. We're out here near the Wayne National Forest. It's for those of you who don't know where it is, it's near the West Virginia border, near the Wayne National Forest in eastern Ohio. The Swiss Hills Career Center, where I'm at right now here in Monroe County, is between Woods Field and the Ohio River. And so it is a challenging place for internet service, and the schools here, this school district, just to put that in perspective, as you noted, there's 2,000 students in the district, but they have 8 buildings, and the size of the school district is 536 square miles. And they told me today that it's nearly half the size, the school district itself, nearly half the size of Rhode Island. So this is, this is the geography and the topography we're talking about. Very rural, very, a lot of undulating hills, topography, hard to serve with internet service. And the day that we announced this pilot project with them, we'll always remember, Governor, because it was the first day that the first case of COVID was reported in Ohio last year. And so a lot of people may have missed the fact that we were doing this telehealth pilot ultimately here in the Switzerland School District. If you remember that day, we were joined with Lydia Brodegard, who is the district manager and director of special education for the Ohio Valley Educational Service Center. We were also joined by we were joined by Robert Caldwell, who's the superintendent of the Switzerland of Ohio schools, and then Andy Brooks, who's with me today, who's with the Ohio Valley ESC superintendent there. So we've got a great group of people that we've been partnering with on this project over the course of the last nearly year. And we're announcing that phase 1 is complete. We're done with this project. It's delivered, it's operational. Telehealth services are being provided to the students of this district. It's gone very well. We had a great conversation down here today with the school officials. The district was literally chosen for this because it was so hard. If you can do it here, you can do it anywhere in Ohio, and they were in desperate need of mental health services and other telehealth services due to the lack of connectivity in Monroe County for internet, and the fact at the time they only had 1 counselor. Now they have 2, but it's sometimes an hour and 15-minute drive between school buildings, depending on where you are, and you have a student who's in need or in crisis, and they just had no way to timely serve those students. And so now they're able to do this via telehealth and the internet connectivity we have with the schools. I asked them the question, I said, look, does this work? Does this telehealth, video counseling services work? And they said, yes, it does. Not only can they serve 3 to 4 times as many students with the speed in which they can connect with them, but it's so much better in a phone call. They say the students are used to interacting on video screens, and just seeing the person, being able to interact with them has been a fantastic benefit to this school district as they've launched this. And so the district was thrilled with this. They're moving forward. They're serving students, and we know that during COVID, it's been especially hard for them to be able to reach these students in person. So this has been a great benefit to them. This pilot project, though, now we have the blueprint. We know how to do this. We know from a technology point of view, from an administration point of view, how to do this, and this plan is now available. It's being promoted to other rural school districts who are trying to accomplish the same goal. It was developed in partnership with the Ohio State University Wexner Medical Center, who provided consultation services on this. And it's available at the Innovate Ohio website, innovateohio.gov. So anybody can go on there, get the blueprint, and work to do that in their particular district. And I have a hard copy of it right here, but that's available online at Innovate Ohio, on the Innovate Ohio website. And so we're excited to get this launched, but we're here today celebrating the completion of phase 1, but also announcing phase 2 of this. We talked about how can we take the infrastructure that we're putting together for this and then let the whole community benefit from it. And that's exactly what we're doing. We're launching a program today to extend high-speed internet services out to the community that will connect people, students, not only to their schools, and not only to the behavioral health services, but to the rest of the world. And we're going to build off the infrastructure we created in this particular situation with the schools to extend those services. It was also helped with the school also was helped with this project by leveraging some dollars from the Appalachian Regional Commission, where they will receive a $500,000 grant to help extend phase 2. But we just think that this is the model for really trying to help schools across. We think the rest of the country can use this. This is a model for others. And I want to put this in perspective for what Monroe County is. 72% of people approximately have no internet service. None. Not that they have poor quality internet service. That's a whole other issue. They couldn't buy the service if they wanted it. And so we have an entire county here who is not able to participate in the modern economy, the modern education system, and the modern healthcare system. As a result of that, we're serving their students now. We're getting them the services they need. The counselors and the administrators tell me it's working great. Many kids who weren't getting services before are getting them. Kids who couldn't get them in a timely manner are. It's been great for crisis situations. And now we're going to leverage this infrastructure for the benefit of the community around this. And this is just another example of how we're innovating, how we're using technology to improve the way we serve our customers, the people of Ohio, first the students, then the community. And this will work great in combination with the economic development package that you announced earlier in the week, and how we can leverage those additional broadband dollars to serve the underserved. And Governor, just wanted to give you that report here from Switzerland and Monroe County, and the people here told me to tell you hi. They appreciate your help and support with this project.
Well, we appreciate that very, very much. And that's a good news report, Lieutenant Governor, and say hi to everybody in Monroe County. All Ohio counties are beautiful, and there's no more beautiful place than Monroe County. So it's a beautiful, beautiful county. So I think we're ready for questions.
Governor, first question today is from Nathan Hart at WCPO in Cincinnati.
Hi, Governor. What's the plan to vaccinate seniors unable to leave their home, and why were they excluded from the state's vaccination plan?
Well, they were not excluded from the state's vaccination plan. We have been vaccinating people in congregate care settings because we know that is very dangerous. Some of those congregate care settings are 2 people, 3 people, 4 people, sometimes more. But we've been working with our local health departments in regard to, how we reach everybody in the state, and certainly people who cannot leave their home. We're focusing and working with the local health departments on exactly how to do that. So, we constantly try to balance as we go through this, getting vaccines out as quickly as we can, but at the same time, trying to penetrate and make sure that everyone has access. So, one of the things that we did is we put it into every county. This place in Monroe County, this place, and the reason we did that is that there are some people who are older who can get out, but if someone takes them, but who are not going to travel 2 hours or an hour even to get a vaccine. So the area aging agencies are also working with us in regard to that, in regard to transportation. So we'll give you more details, or if Ursel wants to get on here, Director McElroy wants to jump on, she can give you kind of a full report on what we're doing in that area. So if she's available, Eric, we'll see if we can get her on. If she comes on, and we'll answer that later on in more detail, because she's working on it.
Next question is from Randy Ludlow at the Columbus Dispatch.
Good afternoon, Governor. Can you hear me, Governor?
Yes, sir. I can, Randy.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
We are approximately 7 weeks into vaccinating Ohioans. And in that 7 weeks, we're only now up to 8% of the population. I know you say more doses are coming, but when can you realistically expect, given the backup of seniors, to begin offering vaccinations to average everyday Ohioans? What's your best guess on a time frame?
Well, Randy, I think a lot of the people who are getting the vaccine now consider themselves average Ohioans, but I'm just joking with you a little bit. But our goal is to get the most vulnerable people vaccinated as quickly as we can. We have really 3 goals: get our kids back in school by March 1, vaccinate the most vulnerable people among us as quickly as we can, and vaccinate our healthcare workers. So the healthcare workers are almost done, not quite, but almost done. And so, we're going deep into the groups of people who we know are the most vulnerable. We started with our nursing homes. We're seeing those numbers of cases go down dramatically. And we did this early, and we're going to continue to do it as we get new people going into those nursing homes and new people going into the assisted living. But in addition to that, we also are going into a lot of other congregate care settings, 5,000 different settings in the state we're going into. We're also going into the medically fragile. We started with people who are developmentally disabled and fit this list on the 15th, not too far away, 11 days away. We're going to then go into the rest of that group of people, which is about 190,000 who are not developmentally disabled. Those, again, are people at the highest risk of death. So I wish we had enough vaccine to open up Ohio State Stadium and open up big venues and do nothing but vaccinate 24/7. If we had enough vaccine, we would do that. But today we don't have that. And so what we have to do today is to be careful, worry about equity, worry about fairness, and most of all, worry about saving lives. And that's what we're doing. So I would anticipate, we're going to hold at 65. And I can't answer your question when we can go below 65 and when we can open it much more up. And that solely depends, Randy, that solely depends on how much vaccine we get in. But I want to be optimistic about this. And I think that now it's easy not to be optimistic. But what Pfizer told us doubling by March, into March. At some point in March, we'll be double what we are today. That's a big boost. Moderna has already increased. They're going to increase in the future. Johnson & Johnson, we hope will be in March, maybe even before. And so that's going to continue to go out. And we're going to watch the numbers. We're going to dig as deep as we can. And, with the people who are at home, people who are more difficult for them to get the vaccine, we're going to continue to work on getting the vaccine to them, particularly those people who are the older people and the most vulnerable. At some point in the future, we'll be able to go below 65. But for me to set a date on that at this point without knowing exactly what we're going to get in and when we're going to get in would just be it would just be fantasy. I mean, it would be guessing. And I'm not going to guess and tell people a certain date when I don't know that I can deliver on that date. What I can say is we're going to stick at 65 for a number of weeks until we see these numbers, fill up of that age group, because we know 87% of the people who've died in this state have been 65 years of age and older. At the same time, we're going out to other fragile groups who are statistically the most vulnerable, who are under 65. And we think that's the most equitable thing to do. It's the most fair thing to do. It's the right thing to do. But we hope to push this thing out faster. Just as soon as we get the vaccine, we'll continue to expand it.
Next question is from Dan Perlman at WCMH in Columbus.
Hi, Governor. As I'm sure you are aware, former Columbus police officer Adam Coy has been indicted for the shooting death of Andre Hill. First, what would you say today to Andre Hill's family? Second, a former Ohio police officer now sits in jail facing a number of charges, including one for murder. What is your message to police officers across the state as they watch this play out?
Well, the police officers across the state, vast majority of them are amazing people. And they do amazing work. And I've worked with them since I was an assistant prosecuting attorney in 1972. So that's what I would say to them. There are police officers who are not doing a good job. I have great faith in our criminal justice system. And when a grand jury makes a decision, the system is in fact working. Someone is indicted. You have to presume everyone's innocent until they go to the full trial. And that's what we all have to do. But, the system is working and we move forward. To the family of the victim, my heart goes out to them. A horrible tragedy. So I guess I think that answers your question. Let me go to Director McElroy, who is on. And Director, I don't know if you heard the question, but the real question was a very good one. And that is how, what is our plan? What are we doing in regard to people who are homebound? They just can't leave the house. They're not in a congregate care setting. They're not in a nursing home. They're not in assisted living, or they're not even in a small congregate care setting that we're covering. But let's just say they live by themselves or elderly couple, and they really just can't get out. What are we doing in that area to reach them is the question.
Absolutely. And thank you for the question, Governor, and for those who are very interested in this very important topic. Throughout, we have been very focused on having equitable distribution, making certain that there were no groups left out of our vaccine efforts, and that certainly included our homebound population. We were very strategic in looking at how many individuals that would impact. Right now, we estimate that as about 20,000 individuals within the state that fall within that range. And so we have identified home health providers that have the capability to manage the proper way to store and to deliver the vaccine. You have to keep in mind that this vaccine has different requirements above what we're typically used to. And so being certain that we have a wide range of providers that can do that in a way that allows us to get to people and not have waste has been a part of the allocation strategy with this. So I just want to assure people we have not forgotten. We've been able to identify the number. We've looked at different providers that can support us in this effort, and we're continuing to work through how we can get to each and every one who would need that.
So we would hope to start that, Director, pretty soon.
Absolutely. We have some providers. We're also, the other side of this is also trying to see in terms of the manufacturers and the different vaccine, if there will come a time here soon that they'll even package it smaller so that will make it even easier. And so we're looking at this from both ends, but absolutely, we are working on this right now to see how we can quickly get out to these homes.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Next question is from Albritton from WLWT in Cincinnati.
How you doing today, Governor?
I'm well, thank you.
Good. We're still without any state clearinghouse for vaccine signups, and we keep hearing here at WLWT of people who are bouncing between website to website trying to get a vaccine appointment. Are there redesigns coming? Is there a firm timeline for fixing this? And what help or hope can you offer the thousands of people who are still struggling to get through the current system that we're working with?
Yeah, I mean, the most help we could give them if we had more vaccine. And, you know, I've just talked about when we hope to get more vaccine. That's the root of most of these challenges are basically not enough vaccine. Valentine's Day or thereabout is the day we hope to start this process. And we would encourage providers to join the system. Providers have to sign up. And there will be a day in the next few days when we'll give them notice that they can go in and sign up. And what we would hope is a seamless experience where someone can go online and put in their zip code, put in their county. It would come up, the places that have been incorporated into that system, and it would tell you which ones have vaccine available for the week. But you could go into that and then directly make an appointment right there. My understanding with the hospitals, it may be a jump that the hospitals have their own system and don't want to link in directly. But again, that will be something you can still navigate from the portal that we're going to establish. You will then just go into their system and register through their system. So it will be an improvement. It still does not, it does not solve a problem for someone who does not have a computer or does not have a family member who has a computer. So, this is something that, I talked with the mayors about today. We've talked with local health departments, and, we're continuing to work at the local level to get more places where people can actually call and use the phone when they cannot use the computer. The computer is obviously the most efficient for everyone, but if you don't have a computer, you don't use a computer, we want to make sure that you have other avenues as well.
Next question is from Andy Chow at Ohio Public Radio and Television.
Hi, Governor.
Andy.
Kind of a two-part question here. So what it sounds like what we're saying is that the state is receiving more than 140,000 doses of the vaccine every week. Is that all the same pot going to people who are eligible because of their age and teachers, or are teachers getting it from a different supply? And then with that, what do you say to people who argue that teachers in their 20s and 30s should not be getting the vaccine ahead of people who are 65 and older who might be more vulnerable?
Yeah, look, I'll take the second one first. I understand that. And that's a valid argument. You can certainly make that argument. We made a decision that our most important thing was protecting lives. But we also made the decision that during the month of February, we're going to frankly divert some of the vaccine so we can get our kids in school. We've spent the last year seeing some of our kids, particularly our kids in our urban school districts, not going to school, not being there in person. I've had letters, I've had emails that would break your heart about families. and what this has done to their children, not be from a social point of view, from an emotional point of view, mental health point of view, physical point of view, and as well as academic. And the kids who have taken the most brunt of this are the kids in our cities. Now, not exclusively, but these are the schools that have been out the most. And we left it up to the schools to do it, and they made those decisions. But I felt that if we said we were going to vaccinate vaccinate adults in schools and said, we challenge you, if you want the vaccine, you got to go back by March 1. And all but one school district in the state has said yes. So that has worked. And some schools are already back that had not been back. Some are phasing in. But having kids in school is a very important thing. And it's important for these children, and we can't leave these kids behind. We're seeing data come out from the State Department of Education showing slippage, as you would expect. I think the slippage, when we drill down on it, it's probably going to be more for kids who just were not in school, period. And some kids have not been in school since March. So we took the month of February, but at the same time, we said we're going to try to stay at about 100,000. Even if we're giving vaccines for our schools, we're going to still try to stay around 100,000 doses for our older Ohioans, and we're going to continue to do that. So we make a little diversion here. We're trying to accomplish, I think, a very laudable goal that so many parents have told me is so very important. And at the same time, we're going to continue all the way through to vaccinate some of our older Ohioans. And then when we get through February, the numbers are going to kick back up pretty well. So it's choices, it's a balance. It's trying to figure out, how we protect our elderly, but at the same time, how we get our kids back in school. The numbers that I generally cite, Andy, are first doses. So I don't talk about second doses, but please understand second doses continue to come in. We've not seen a problem. I know some states have reported a problem. We're not seeing a problem. And second doses are coming in, and people are getting vaccinated in roughly the 3 weeks or roughly the 4 weeks for Moderna. So we're not talking about those numbers, but the numbers I give is kind of the one pool coming into the state. Two different rivers coming in, so 2 different vaccines.
Next question is from Laura Hancock at cleveland.com.
Hi, Laura.
Hi, can you hear me?
I can
Okay.
indeed.
Okay. Just a question about unemployment. Is there an easy way for Ohioans to find out whether they were a victim of fraud other than when they get their tax documents?
Yeah,
And if not, is there going to be a system to figure this out?
I'm sorry, what was the last part of the question?
If not, will there be a system to figure it out?
Okay, Director, you want to take that?
Yes, thank you for the question. We are realizing that a number of individuals are finding out that they may be victims of identity theft through the receipt of the 1099s. In other circumstances, there could be other notices, a PIN application, et cetera, that they've received in the mail. We have a hotline that we just launched this week, and we encourage individuals to avail themselves of that hotline. They have questions about the fraud in 1099. The toll-free number is 833-658-0394, and we'll make sure the press team has that available to them. 50 staff dedicated to answering those calls, and then we also have the portal on our website.
Thank you.
Next question is from Jim Oddie at WHIO in Dayton.
Governor, good afternoon. On behalf of our viewers in the greater Dayton area, what's your vision for that next step? Is it going to be by age when we get there? By age, by medical condition, some combination of the two? And I ask this because people 60 to 64 and a half, they're getting anxious. They feel kind of left behind here.
Well, I understand, Jim. People are getting anxious, and I fully appreciate that and understand that. We've got to get those 65 and older vaccinated. We go down to 65 next week. We got about 2 million people in Ohio who are 65 years of age and older. 87% of all our deaths have come from people 65 and older. So we want to get that group done, and it's going to take a while. And it's how long it's going to take really depends on how fast vaccines come in. And I'm optimistic. We got some good news this week when I talked to Pfizer, when I talked to Moderna. Good news, there's more is going to be coming in. We see good news on the horizon. We hope, at least with Johnson & Johnson coming in. So we hope to move through that quickly, but I can't really estimate when that will be. When we make a decision to go to the next group, it's going to be based on the same thing it's been based on so far, and that is how we save lives. And we know that if we take people 50 and above, that we have covered, I think, about 96%, 97% of all the deaths that have occurred. So age is just the best indicator, really, of liability and, you know, what your chances are of survival. And the older you get, the tougher that is. So, you know, I know people who, when it goes to 65 next week, we'll have people who are 65 and older who are excited and want to get signed up, and we'll try to get signed up, and many of them will. But we also know there are people, you know, 64 and 63 who are ready to go as well. And so that's going to depend on just the amount of vaccine we get. And I cannot emphasize it enough. We just don't have enough vaccine. But we're doing the best we can with what we have, and the providers are doing a good job, and we're going to just keep plowing away at this. And our obligation is to get, you know, when vaccine comes into the state of Ohio, it's to get it out as quickly as we can. And I asked the director to run the numbers almost every day. And I think she told me we're at about 92, 93%, I think, of vaccine that comes into a provider, let's say a doctor's office or pharmacy, that is uptake in about a week. So, I mean, we've told them has to be out within a week, and we're running 92, 93% of that. So, you know, not too bad. We want to edge that up. We want them to get it done faster than in 7 days. But, you know, I think we're doing pretty well on that.
Next question is from Shane Stegmiller at Hannah News Service.
Thanks, Governor, for continuing to do these. I wanted to ask about the budget. You rolled it out this week. Have you been talking to lawmakers about it? What's their reception, and when can we expect to see it in bill form?
Bill form, I think a couple weeks. You know, we have briefed the leadership. We did a briefing of the leadership before we actually rolled it out. And, you know, this is it's a process. It's a big budget, and there's a lot of different parts of it. We're going to continue to try at different press conferences to kind of highlight some of the things, as we did yesterday when we talked about criminal justice and some of the changes that we want to make there. But this is a process. I mean, we send a budget to the legislature, but, you know, they're the ones who ultimately write it. They're the ones who ultimately make the decisions. And you know, we think we've given them a good budget, good place to start. And you know, if they have questions, we're certainly here to answer. And you know, the normal process is our budget director or the different members of the cabinet testify at different committee hearings, and the legislature does what it does best, which is to delve into the issues and bring in witnesses and just kind of go through every aspect of it.
Next question is from Sarah Arthurs at the Findlay Courier and Ogden newspapers.
Hi, Governor. Thank you.
Sure.
I'm wondering, you spoke about kids in schools in Ohio cities. In the more rural areas, some teachers, some school staff will not be getting their first dose of vaccine until late February, like around the third week of February. Are there concerns that with them getting the vaccine later and the deadline to open schools by March 1st, that some teachers may not be protected?
Well, as I've explained, I wish I had enough vaccine to do everything the first week of February, but we do not. We've laid out a schedule. It's a very aggressive schedule to vaccinate every school teacher, every custodian, every bus driver, anybody in that school building within a 1 month period of time. And as I said, it's a very aggressive schedule. Sadly, somebody has to be first, but somebody has to be last. Somebody has to be in the middle. And what I can say to all people who work in schools, thank you for what you do. Thank you for taking care of our kids, for teaching our kids. You've done it through a very, very difficult period of time. We're going to get everybody vaccinated that wants that vaccine. We're not going to tell anybody, make them do it, but anybody wants it, we're going to give that. I would also say that we know a lot more today and that we knew at the beginning of this pandemic, and we really know the power of masks. And not only do we know that anecdotally from talking to many superintendents as I have, but we also know it from tests that we've done in schools. And we know that there's very little spread in the classroom when everyone is wearing a mask. And Ohio teachers and Ohio students have been extremely compliant with very few exceptions in wearing masks. And that's why we've not seen much spread. So there can be spread in school, but with everyone wearing a mask, there is not much. We know a lot more about that today. We know the power of masks much more than we did at the beginning of this pandemic. And you couple that with everybody in February getting a first shot and some getting a second shot. And we know, and it's been explained on here before by several different doctors, that first shot does give you some immunity. And it's very significant, particularly as the days go on after that shot took place. So we think with those two things combined, that people will feel safe, going to school. And many teachers, of course, have been in school the entire year. But I think this will give them added protection, and I hope will make them feel that they have, they're confident that they can do this.
Next question is from Kevin Landers at WBNS in Columbus.
Hello, Governor. I was wondering if you could clarify a statement you made. I may have misunderstood what you said, but you said by last week of February, people will get the money they are owed. These are people who are on unemployment. What exactly did you mean by that? What does that mean? Does that mean everyone will have their checks by the end of February? And then just to follow up with Dr. Vanderhoff, there's so much hesitancy out there when it comes to the vaccine. And having said that, does that hurt our ability to achieve herd immunity? And what percentage of Ohioans do we need to get vaccinated to achieve that herd immunity? And if people who've recovered from COVID and not been reinfected, does that prove that natural immunity can replace the vaccine? Thank you.
Okay, let's go to Director Henderson for the first question, and then we'll go to the doctor for the second one.
Thank you, Governor. The timeline for end of February would be for individuals who need additional weeks and are eligible for additional weeks of benefits under the new act that was passed by Congress on December 27th. So essentially all through the month of January, we have been able to increase week over week the populations we can now bring back into the system that can begin filing. And so all of that will be complete by the end of February.
Doctor, you want to take the other question?
Yes, Governor, thank you very much. Well, the question about herd immunity is a really, really important one. And it is one that health authorities across the country are watching very, very closely. There are ways that we can, as we monitor this virus and its activity, we will be able to arrive at a pretty good estimate of herd immunity, especially as we get further into the vaccinations. Right now, the exact number that will constitute herd immunity in our state is not known, but there are really only two ways that we get there. We do have growing data, which is encouraging, that says that when people have a severe illness with COVID-19, that they do appear to generate immunity that lasts a good while. But here's the problem. If we just rely on illness, we, first of all, have variable reactions to that. And it appears that we have variable amounts of exposure to the virus leading up to our illness. The wonderful thing about vaccines is, first of all, they produce a predictable response. Secondly, they produce that predictable response in a way that does not cause illness and death. So that's, of course, very, very important. And they are really the preferred vehicle for achieving herd immunity. And I'll add one more thing. While it is true that we're getting better and better information about lasting immunity when people have been quite sick, it is far better for us to be able to assure people that they're going to have a durable immunity. And the vaccine offers that as a best option, even for people who've had prior exposure to COVID-19.
Next question is from Jim Province at the Toledo Blade.
Hello again, Governor.
Hey, Jim.
Why does the state have to go out into the private sector to bring people in to fix the state's unemployment compensation system? Is the problem here that the state has not invested enough over the years in recruiting top talent into state government? And what do we do when these people go home?
Well, this is a tsunami. This is a once in 100-year experience, Jim, and I don't think it's any reflection on state employees that we have to go out into the private sector to help deal with a huge, huge emergency that has not occurred in most people's lifetimes. I guess it's occurred within a few of 101, 102-year-old people who are getting vaccinated. But so that's really it. And it's a question of the state has not invested, frankly, in the past in the technology, and it's not brought the technology up to date. And it's not just true in this department, it's true in many departments. And it's one of the things that the Lieutenant Governor is spearheading for us. And if you look at our budget, we continue to invest in the technology that's needed. It just so happens that this department, because of the unemployment claims and because of the nature of the pandemic, this department got hit a lot harder than other departments. We've talked about the cloud, and I'm out of my league already, but moving into the cloud was something that was already in the works when this pandemic hit, but not done. And so, we've seen a huge surge in people. We brought a huge number of people in, but with the combination of the huge number of claims and combination of significant, professional fraudsters out there, it's kind of a tsunami all coming together. And so, I'm not shy at all about reaching out wherever we can get help. Private business deals with these issues in different forms. And we reached out to find people who are used to dealing with this type of a problem. And we found them, and we had 16 of them. And, I think when the private businesses first started looking at that, they thought, oh, we can loan you a few people and it'll work out. And I think the more they looked at it, they said, no, it's going to take more than that. And so we're at 16, but we could be at much, much more than that. But it's the responsible thing to do. I think it's what we need to do.
Next question is from Patrick O'Donnell at the 74million.org.
Hi. So I want to go back to the data that was released by the Department of Education yesterday. You referred to it a few moments ago. That created a pretty bleak picture for some kids in urban areas, for Black kids in particular. Has some of that data been shared with you up ahead of yesterday, and has that factored into your push to open schools on March 1st? And these populations are folks that have often been pretty hesitant about returning to school. Do you think that they're going to come back in droves and get things fixed and improvement underway soon, or do you think they'll be hesitant?
Well, I think all the schools have said they're going to open except one. I think they are going to come back. They're going to do what they said they were going to do. I think that, parents always have that individual choice, and we respect that individual choice. But I think the majority of parents will send their children back to school. In regard to your question, was that information shared with me? It was shared with me, but only a day or two before, and it really did not impact the decisions that we made. This was, I've talked to enough people around the state, talked to mayors, talked to educators, talk to parents to have a pretty good feel that there were a lot of kids who were just not doing very well in this total remote system. And, kids are different. Each kid is different. Some kids do well. Some kids like it being remote. Some kids don't. But there are kids who are behind, were already behind, and are getting much further behind. And so it's very worrisome. I think it was a crisis, frankly. And I felt I had to take action to stem this crisis. And, I got the question earlier, gee, you're diverting vaccine. Yes, we are. But we're going to stay focused on older people, but we got to do something for these kids and get these kids back in school. And that's why we made the decision.
Next question is from Justin Mitchell at WFMJ in Youngstown.
Sorry.
Hey,
Good
Justin.
afternoon, Governor.
Hey.
Hey.
Afternoon.
School employees in Mahoning County began getting their vaccines today. Now, new guidance on who is eligible and, more importantly, who's not eligible, such as board members and preschool teachers, came out just this past Tuesday, well after the orders were placed for these districts. So my question is, why was additional guidance sent out at such a late date after some districts already had preschool teachers and board members with shots ordered and in line?
Well, I'll be honest with you. I thought that guidance was already out and before then. And if there was confusion, I'll apologize for the confusion. I thought we had made it very, very clear. The question with preschool, this may be a group that we get to sometime in the future. We don't know exactly. And they make a strong case too, like many other groups make a strong case. But we had a specific goal, and we're trying to keep our eye on the ball, and that is get K through 12 kids back in school. And to get K through kids back in school, we don't have to do pre, and we don't have to do board members. And it's kind of hard to justify a 30-year-old board member getting a vaccine and their 85-year-old grandmother's not getting it yet because there's not enough vaccine. So these decisions are not made in a vacuum. I mean, should school board members be vaccinated? Yeah. Should preschool get it? Yeah. Should this group get it? Yeah. We all want everybody to get the vaccine. But that's not the choice I'm faced with. The choice I'm faced with is we have just a little bit. Now, who gets it? And when somebody gets it, somebody else doesn't get it. And so, I apologize if people thought they were going to get it and didn't get it. The preschool, I know we've made that very, very clear for a long time. And in regard to board members, we may not have made that as clear as we should have, and I apologize to the board members, but I think they'll understand. They care about getting kids in school, and they also care about people who are 65 years of age and older. So.
Next question is from Jeff Reddick at WSYX in Columbus.
Good afternoon, Governor.
Hey, Jeff.
Former Health Director Dr. Amy Acton just stepped down from her next job in order to seriously consider a run for U.S. Senate. You've, of course, very often praised her virtues as a leader. So do you believe she'd serve Ohio well? Would you endorse, or would you endorse against her?
I'm going to stay out of Democrat primaries, so no comment.
Next question is from Allison Walker at WKEF in Dayton.
Hello, Governor. Counties in Ohio like Miami and Greene are dealing with a vaccine shortage. In fact, Miami County told us yesterday it was only getting 200 doses from the state and had to close registration. How does the state decide what counties get a certain amount of vaccines, and what are you actively doing to get more doses from the federal government?
Well, I'll check with my team about what Miami County got. There's a difference between what the health department gets and what we are giving out to other places in the county, but I don't have the numbers in front of me, so I can't tell you what Miami County got. But what I can tell you is that every week, county allocation is based almost exclusively on population, and there's about a 10% factor in there in regard to poverty. So, you know, it's basically on population. And so that's what we do. We try to be as fair as we can be. We allocate it every week. We allocate it based upon population. As far as what we've done to get more vaccine, you know, I've talked, as I said, I talked to Moderna this week. We talked to Pfizer this week. I've talked to the president-elect at the time, now President Biden. I've talked to his team. I talked before that to the Trump team. So look, everybody is trying to get more vaccine. I think the Trump administration tried to get more vaccine. I think the Biden administration is trying to get more vaccine. We're not sitting here in Ohio blaming people. It is just a fact that's incumbent upon me to explain to the people of the state of Ohio, we don't have enough vaccine. And I try to give you the best information I can, as I did today, that those numbers are going to go up according to what the two drug companies told us. And we have hope that Johnson & Johnson is coming on. So we're hopeful that these numbers are going to go up. But what we don't have the power to do in Ohio is to manufacture the drugs. And you know, I can't create more drugs. The drugs are what comes into the state. But everybody knows we want our fair share, and we think we're getting our fair share.
Next question is from Jackie Borchert at the Cincinnati Enquirer.
Governor, I have a question about the unemployment experts that you just talked about earlier. Is there a cost to the state for this private-public partnership? And how much has Ohio spent so far with DeWine and other third parties who have been assisting with unemployment insurance throughout the pandemic?
I'll have to get you the last question you asked. I don't know. The people who are, I'll try to answer the first, the people who are loaned to the state, that cost is picked up by that company. There are an additional people, though, that will be employed by the state. And that number will continue to change. Our press team can give you the current numbers after this press briefing today. I don't have those. But if I use the term loaned, that means loaned. And we thank the companies for doing that. And that is not a cost to the state of Ohio. In some cases, there are people who we are employing. And then, of course, that is a cost to the state, and that we can make that information available to you.
Next question is from Andrew Welsh Huggins at the Associated Press.
Hey, Andrew.
Governor, your press briefing has been so extensive that my questions have been answered, so I'll defer to the next person, but thank you so much.
Andrew, that's the first time that has ever happened in 140 press conferences or something, I think. So thank you.
Next question is from Molly Martinez at Spectrum News.
Hi, Governor. I've got my Springer with me today.
Oh, wow. Okay, here we go. Springer.
Yeah, this is my Springer. He sits through every conference with me. He's taking very copious notes.
Okay, he's beautiful.
Hey, thank you. My question, could you please repeat that information about the sort of influx of more vaccines we're going to be getting in March? And also,
Sure.
Do you have any sort of ballpark of when the vast majority of people might be able to be eligible for vaccination?
On the second one, I do not. I really just don't. I mean, you're seeing the same projections I am reported on national news and that you're reporting. But I will repeat what Pfizer told us. Pfizer told us by February 15th that they would see a 40% up increase. We hope that that's reflected for Ohio as well. We assume it will be. They also told us that at some point in March, we would double what we are today. So that's significant. In Moderna, it was a little less specific. They've already increased it to some extent, but we're looking forward to, it looks like they're going to continue. They were optimistic that they're going to continue to go up as well. You have to factor in, I think, Molly, you have to factor in Johnson & Johnson. I don't know what numbers those will be when they kick in. Part of it, I suppose, is going to be whether it's one shot or two shot. We hope it's the one shot, and that obviously will go twice as far. But I don't know what their production level is. I don't know, what kind of production they're going to have. So things will get better, but we're still going to be not having as much as obviously as we want or as much as we could put out. I mean, we're only using a third of the providers in the state that have said that they would be providers. I think we're at 2,300, and we're using 700, 750 now. So we have the capacity to really blow it up. We also have the capacity to go to some big places that could run 24/7. And once we get enough vaccine, it makes sense to add those in as well so that people have many options locally, but they can also drive if they want to one of our cities where they can, get in line and go through. So we have the ability I want everybody to understand, we have the ability to expand quickly. And we're not going to have a problem. As I told the Biden administration, we don't have a problem getting this stuff out. The problem really is getting it in here. And that's kind of where we are. So.
Thank you.
What's your dog's name?
His name's Regis.
Okay, awesome. All right, anybody else?
Governor, next question is the last question for today, and it belongs to Justin Dennis at mahoningmatters.com.
Hi, Governor. Thanks as always for briefing us.
Hey, Justin.
We've heard from some readers who are struggling to understand whether they're eligible for the extra $300 unemployment benefit. One who refiled when their benefits were exhausted were told they weren't eligible, and that others have also found out they're not eligible when they believe that they would be. Could you offer any context behind this issue, or maybe further clarify the requirements or scheduling on these payments? Thanks.
Yeah, again, let me go to the director. Director, you want to take that?
Yes, thank you, Governor. So everyone who is eligible for continued weeks, additional weeks, also is eligible for they're called FPUC payments. So that must be a bit of information, but I just want to emphasize that the $300 eligibility does apply to individuals both in the regular unemployment system and the PUA system.
Thank you very much. I want to close. I've just been handed a note. The Miami County allocation, total allocation for the whole county was 800. So it was 800. That's what it was this week. So thank you all very much. We'll see you next time. See you on Tuesday.